So developers in the gaming industry are still giving unhinged and terrible takes that make me want to consume Bleach. The tweets are like the old school paperclip guide that you would see on the side of your monitor that would give you advice and opinions that you never asked for.
Nice car.
For example, Jonathan Blau, he blows, so we'll go with that. He made a tweet a few days ago saying that every new game nowadays is unbelievably boring, which is funny coming from a man who hasn't come out with a game in 7 years. Not only that, but tons of controversies have been popping up regarding Starfield.
If I was gonna come, it's for Starfield.
Such as people finding out that you can't walk around an entire planet without being interrupted by an invisible wall. After 10 minutes of running in a straight line, you're stopped. This made people think you can only land in one spot on the planet, and that was it. Which is actually not true. You can land on multiple spots on the planet. As you initiate the landing sequence, that area gets procedurally generated with the corresponding landscape that you saw from orbit, but no one actually knows this is really true. Another controversy was a Tennessee man, you're the only 10 I see, at theft, because this man stole and sold copies of Starfield while also leaking 40 minutes of gameplay. It seems the man was arrested and charged, thank God, as well as people who are receiving review copies, possibly breaking NDA for Starfield, which if you don't know what that means, it's basically you can't put out any information on Starfield, how the game plays, or any type of reviews going forward until the embargo is lifted on August 31st. Then obviously after that, any reviews and opinions of the game can go out. Cloud is one hell of a drug. Extremely random events and controversies have been surrounding Starfield, but the one that we're going to focus on the most today is regarding the tweet that you saw at the very beginning of the video, one made by Mark Kern, which was actually the beginning of this entire clown fiesta. He said that the starting screen for Starfield is bland and showing of a team that's been overworked, rushed, and not passionately made, which is suggesting game bad because no likey the menu. Once again, very funny coming from a guy who was kicked out of his own company and also hasn't produced a game in 10 years. But I found this conversation about starting screens to be an interesting one, a topic that many people don't talk or think about. The intricacies and components that go into a title screen is sometimes very strategic. Teams can put in weeks or even months devising the perfect title screen. These types of things can be as simple as a still image with music or an interactive one for the player. This made the hamster wheel in my head start spinning. What are starting screens, and why are they so important? I thought to make this fun and enjoyable for myself as well as everyone watching, instead of analyzing Mark Kern's brain and why it stopped developing at such an early age. Now that was a Mark burn. So to make this enjoyable, we'll mock up an experiment, that way that we can see if the complexity of a starting screen actually correlates to how good a game will play. How are we going to do this though? By choosing 3 games, one from different eras of gaming, and comparing their title screens to each other. And to make it fair so I don't cherry pick games just to prove my point, I'll use a random game generator. As for deciding how good the games are, we'll look towards Metacritic and take the Metacritic scores and the user scores. It's really a foolproof plan. By doing this, we'll disprove Mark's brain-rotted theory, which really, I'm surprised we didn't see this coming, considering he is an ex-Blizzard employee. And finally, we'll talk about Starfield and what the results will say about its launch in a few days. Starting with the foundation, what is a starting screen? The starting screen is your welcoming into that particular video game world, to convey the atmosphere and emotion you should feel going into it. Cool. But why are they important? That presentation to the world can be a very impactful thing. When a movie, book, or speech makes you feel any emotion, whether that be happiness or sadness, it's doing a good job. This makes you relate more to the game because it's making you feel something. It makes you think the world you're about to explore is alive and real. I actually recently saw a video called The Power of the Title Screen, made by a Nintendo hero, and basically he dives deeper into how we perceive and enjoy and remember the starting screens from way back and why they're so impactful. And to be honest, he does a really good job, so definitely check him out. Anyways, let's find a site where we can find our randomized games. Random.io. I mean, it's perfect. So let's see the moment of truth. Max Payne. Oh, great. I love Mark Wahlberg.
Open your eyes. Now! Have you ever seen this woman?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Maybe fuck yourself.
There are way too many people named Mark in this video.
Oh, hi, Mark.
When I myself actually hate the name Mark. Thanks, Dad. BioShock 2. You know, the game where you can sacrifice little children so that you can gain superpowers. And last we have Resident Evil Village. Ah yes, the one with the towering vampire hyper muscle mommy that everyone coomed over. Yes, I was everyone. Now that we have our list, let's take a look at the starting screens. I'm genuinely excited since I've never played any of these games and only owned BioShock 2. Yes, I've owned BioShock 2 since 2016 and never played it. Get off my ass! Since we're not taking into account the intro cinematics before the title screen, we can completely disregard this. But I want my video to go past 10 minutes, so if you could please put down the Subway Surfer, you disgusting zoomer, and enjoy the movie. I think way back my brother played this game. It was either this or the Matrix game. I can't really remember. They both had slow-mo and guns. That's really the only memorable thing in the early 2000s, except for like Jim Carrey as the Grinch.
I'm an idiot!
There's not a ton of excitement I get from its beginning. Having like a still image of Max on the front, no movement, and like an ambiance background sound, probably the most basic and bare bones intro I've seen in a while. Considering this was made in 2001, I was playing Crash Bandicoot at the time, and I thought that those intros were actually incredible.
Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex.
Yeah, Max Payne doesn't really have like a lot going for it. The still image is really off-putting, no movement in general. It's just, like I said, bare bones, so it's gonna be like a 3 out of 10. Hello, it's me from the future editing. I'm realizing I didn't give any context on what these numbers even mean. These numbers mean how much I like the title screen from 1 to 10. I didn't give any context to that. I actually talk about how complex each one is after all of the reviews, so... yeah, back to the video. Now let's take a look at BioShock. Oh my god, I'm not like laughing at the title screen, I'm just thinking about how annoyed I would be to live in any of these apartments here, right? Like, just a blinking fluorescent light outside my window. It just reminds me of Elon putting the X logo on the Twitter building a little bit ago, and blasting those lights to the people, like, across the street, which then they had to, like, take down because it was creating such a disturbance. Anyways, I actually really like this, like, starting screen, just because, like, the themes are set so perfectly. The light violin, or maybe it's cello, viola, I'm not good with instrument. It's an instrument. It's a string instrument, alright? It sets the tone and, like, the mood of the game, but overall, the movement of the ocean is so amazing, and you can see this silhouette of Rapture in the background. I'd give this like an 8. Lastly, checking out Resident Evil Village. Alright, so I did my research on this like evolving title screen. The reason there are like 4 of the same scenes that continues to become more intense is because each area that you reach in the game, your title screen will progress as you progress through the game, which I think is like a really good idea, honestly. So like every time that you boot up the game, you're met with like a new beginning. It keeps the game refreshing. I guess my biggest complaint would be, if that's the case, why not make it themed towards those areas, like a little bit more? You keep the same scene, which maybe something being added or removed would make it a little bit more exciting. I also think that the background music should be changed for each area as the game's progressing, but that's just my personal 2 cents. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy making a YouTube video. I gotta say this would be like a 7 because I like the evolving title screen. It's different from what we've seen. I just think things can be a little bit more elevated if they went that route. Now that we've seen the title screens, it's safe to say that Max Payne was by far the simplest, and then followed by BioShock, and then after that would be Resident Evil Village as the most complex. Max Payne had like a still image, BioShock at least had some varying movements within the title screen as well as a good tone setter, and then Resident Evil Village basically showed off its progression system as you went through the game. Max Payne received an 89 Metacritic score with a user rating of 9.0. BioShock 2 received an 88 Metacritic score with an 8.2 user rating. And Resident Evil Village got an 84 Metacritic score with a 7.7 user rating. Once again, I haven't played any of these games, but I did show that I liked BioShock 2 and Resident Evil Village much more than Max Payne's title screens. But does that mean I'm going to enjoy those games more than I will Max Payne because their title screens are a little bit more complex? Clearly not, and I'm sure that most of you watching already saw that coming. That's why what Mark is saying is so outlandish. Reiterating what he said, the title screen of a game can reveal a lot about how rushed the team was and how much pride they took in their work, which we will never really know unless someone from Bethesda outwardly says something. Starfield's starting screen either shows hasty shipping deadlines by a passionate team overworked or a team that didn't care, giving off the idea that you don't think the game will be good because of this. If the game was really rushed out, wouldn't you think that they would have released the game in March instead of giving us another delay? This was the image that created the entire controversy, and the problem with this is that it's a fucking still image. It's deceptive right away, and we won't even know what it looks like until Starfield's actual release. Here is a fan-made title screen and beginning, which I would assume is close to the actual thing. Here's another title screen coming from Alien Isolation, which is a much darker look, but Starfield's could look very similar. And there have been many showcases of Starfield that describe what the game will bring to the table. From their Bethesda Direct, they showed off the skill trees and how players would need to finish challenges in order to upgrade those skills. It's an interesting take on their skill progression since most of their games have always been, if you use or do something specific, the more adept you become in that skill. They did that in Skyrim and Oblivion, meanwhile the Fallout games have been, oh, you leveled up? Here, grab this perk that allows you to deal more damage to women, also known as the Andrew Tate perk. So, there's a lot of variety. From character customization to ship fights to exploration of galaxies, this has a lot of content, which would make sense considering this game has been in development for over 7 years, making this the longest time a game has been in development for Bethesda in the history of its studio. Not only that, but this is the first IP that they'll be producing in the last like 20 years. I guess the point I'm trying to make is while a title screen can be an incredible and amazing masterpiece that flows directly into the game, it doesn't have to be. We're not playing a starting screen, we're playing the game within it. And if I recall correctly, Bethesda has never been super complex or innovative about their starting screens. They always set the tone of subtle movements while letting the soundtrack completely take over. Like that from Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4, even one of their earliest games called IHRA Drag Racing. And let's be honest with ourselves, Bethesda makes fantastic games. The proof is in the pudding. Yes, every one of their launches have had bugs and glitches. They're basically notorious for it, but that shows a testament to how good their games are to be known for that, yet put out incredible content. At the end of the day, I might be in my own words with saying that this will be a great game. But isn't that what we want? Gaming has evolved so much in the last 2 decades, and it's come from the industry pushing itself to release the best products possible. Because of this, studios get more funding and continue to go over people's expectations. So to many of these developers that are speaking out about great games, stop being a little piss baby piss drinker and do what others in the industry have been doing, which is praising these companies for all the time and work that they've put in. At the end of this debacle, Pete Hines, the senior vice president of global marketing and communications for Bethesda, had this to say to Mark. Or they designed what they wanted, and that's been our menu for years, and was one of the first things we settled on. Questioning how developers care because you would have done it differently is highly unprofessional coming from another dev. I assume we put dev in quotes because of what we said at the very beginning of the video. 10 years and 0 game releases. Clown fiesta. In conclusion, did I really just make an entire video off of a shitpost tweet? Well, yeah, but at the same time, I think it brings up a really interesting conversation. Whether you enjoy title screens old or new, generic or innovative, the purpose of these are to make you feel immersed into the world that took time, effort, and passion from these developers that want to provide you with the best experience possible. That's what games truly are. The ability to be swept away into an amazing world, to forget about reality for even a little bit, and to go on these amazing adventures. Going back to a game you loved is like a key unlocking memories and feelings you felt while playing them, and sometimes those are shared ones with your friends. Every time I look back at Halo 3, hearing that sweet and simple harmony makes me think of the incredible times I had playing with my close friends 13 years ago. And that's what matters most. But seriously, can we stop leaking shit and let people just enjoy something? That's the end of the video, and I really hope you enjoyed watching. Remember to like and subscribe, it helps me out a lot, and tells me that I'm doing a good job, because 1 like equals 1 vote to have every person named Mark fight to the death in Times Square. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is this as ridiculous to you as it is to me? Because this really grinds my gears of war. Thank you for watching, I'll see you on the next one.